One of the bigger struggles that many parents have in raising their own children is that they were raised differently by their own parents. And many parents nowadays were raised in such a way that it was more corporal, or that is to say that they were yelled at or that they were beaten. And so they say, well, shit, if I had done that when I was a kid, I would have gotten yelled at, or I would have gotten spanked, or I would have gotten whooped, or I would have gotten held over the banister by my hair. All sorts of crap, right? And yet my kid is just this blah, blah, blah. One of the things I have to tell my clients is, yes, but your child doesn't have that context. So you can say it all you want, but it means nothing to your child. You're saying it doesn't mean anything. You have that context, but they don't. And in the end, you're going to be judged on your parenting, not by what your context is of how you were raised, but how you are raising your child. Just like you judge your parent by how you were raised, and you think, I don't judge my parent? Really? Let me ask you this question. What percent of your parents' parenting technique or style do you deliberately use in the parenting of your own child? What percent? 40%? 60%? 80%? Not what percent you accidentally use. What percent have you deliberately used of their parenting technique? Because the percent that you use it or don't use it is your judgment, your assessment of their parenting style, their parenting techniques. That is your judgment of their parenting. Do you see that? Whether or not you actually say it to them is irrelevant. And so your child's assessment, their judgment of your parenting is being determined not by the context of how you were raised, but by the context of how they are being raised. And so one of the questions is it possible to parent without being an asshole? Is it? More importantly, are you parenting deliberately? And I don't mean, well, I know how I was parented and I'm just doing the opposite of my parents. It's not deliberate parenting. If you were going to change the oil on your car, if you didn't know anything about cars, or if you were going to do the plumbing in your house and you knew nothing about plumbing, if you were going to endeavor some task that you didn't know anything about, or maybe you had theories about, but you really had never done it before, would you read books? Would you watch YouTube videos? Would you gather information and then sort of collate it all together and then sort of do your best? Would you? You probably would. There's nothing more complex that you're ever going to do in your life than raise a child. Doesn't it make sense to take some classes, to read some books, and begin to be deliberate about this complex thing so that your children are actually getting great parents? Something to think about. Have a kick-ass day.